Welcome back, friends and colleagues, to another GB Studio video. Today we're going to be looking at what is happening with the GB Studio world, and they've released a next time on GB Studio video. So let's quick take a look at that and see what we can glean from it. I'll pause it as we go. As you saw there, tilemap editor. That means we're going to get a tilemap editor built into GB Studio. So let's take a look. Scene, tilemap scene. So they're adjusting the size of the tilemap scene, and then they later increase it after the fact as well, which is awesome. You can see that they're painting it down like we would in Tiled or in Sprite inside GB Studio using different tile maps here. And obviously they've had to make those tile maps in a different software. They've got layers, so they should be renaming them so they know what they are for best practice, but you can see they've got layers and they can move things around on each layer separately. They're adding collision to the tile maps, and I can imagine a time when sometimes you'd want a tile to have collision on it, sometimes you wouldn't, so that might be annoying. I already saw in a comment that they said that it's baked down from the data, so it's like it's inside GB Studio creating the map we would create. But I hope that you can edit it after the fact. Like once it's in the scene, you can, imagine using these controls up on the left to do it. You can see there, they just switch between the tile maps in this part here. And look, they're adjusting stuff. They dragged out the scene to make it bigger. And they're continuing, which is awesome. My fear with this is that if we were to have some like actors in the scene that are hard-coded referencing a certain point in the scene and you drag it up, then that reference to the position would be broken. So it wouldn't be ideal. So I can see ways it would break, but as long as you don't do those ways, then it should be fine. And then you can see them starting, pressing play and walking around. Lovely. And obviously they haven't added any triggers or anything, but they're just showing off that it is actually built into GB Studio. Not sure the release date yet, but yeah, you can support them on Patreon, like you can support me on Patreon. So I don't know when this is coming to GB Studio, like it said, but when it does, it will be so good for all of us. I know a lot of you still watch my old videos about Tiled and about making the artwork for GB Studio and making maps. So this would basically make a lot of those videos meaningless, but we still need to make the tile map somewhere, so that is where that comes in. And also it gives us the possibility of doing it both ways, but I think doing it inside GB Studio is probably a cleaner workflow, but I guess it's up to you. It might be that for example Sprite has better ways of like coding certain rules with your tile sets that you can paint things down and it use rules to create. I'm not sure what the rules setting are like in GB Studio here. If you've seen my old videos on Tiled, you might know what I mean. How you can like set the likelihood when you're painting a random brush of different tiles, how likely something is to show up when you're painting it. Stuff like that is what I'm talking about. But there is always a possibility that they would add that kind of stuff to GB Studio. But I think the thing we would all be asking after this is released is, can we have image editors in GB Studio? Can we make pixel art within GB Studio? Because right now you can't, you have to import everything. For example, sprites and everything, you have to make in a different image editing software and then export them and import them into GB Studio, into the assets folder. And then once they're in there, then you can start animating. And then if there's any changes you need to make with the pixel art, you have to go back out to that other software and then re-update it and basically re-import it into GB Studio to update it, which is it can be a very slow process depending on how you do it, and it means that there are problems, and it makes it like a clunky workflow. So if they were to make image editing in GB Studio just like they're making tilemap editor in GB Studio, I think GB Studio might be the most friendly game engine out there after that point. It would mean that you can do almost every single thing inside GB Studio, from the music to the artwork to the scripting. Doesn't need any external influence, which I think would make it a really strong ecosystem, as if it's not already, right? So I would look forward to that. One thing I would want after seeing this, after seeing them drag the scene like they do here, is I would want infinite scrolling levels. I'm sure there's games you can think of that you would want to design where it would make sense for the level to loop around itself. That's basically how I think Mario used to do it. It would like load it into memory only around the player, and then it would mean that you could just use the data from the left to play on the right and it loop around. I think there is space for that inside GB Studio, but it's not necessarily a tile map issue. It's more of a, I guess, how it's displayed kind of issue. I would want to see that in GB Studio. There's a couple of more things that I've written down here. One of them was image editing. And the last thing actually on the list was being able to edit the collision of the map at runtime. If there was a script, like how we paint on the collision to the trees and to the house and to the river or whatever, if there was a script that could edit that, like how we would swap tile images using the tile replacement script, if we could have a collision toggle script, so either it would update for all of the tiles of the same type, or it would only update for that certain one in the scene, depending on how I guess they would need to code it. I think that would be a valuable thing. And actually, speaking of that, I think it would be valuable if you could control the setting to have it so repeated tiles in a scene don't get updated when the identical tiles are replaced. Currently with tile replacement scripts, you have to replace all the tiles of the same type. I reckon if there was a toggle in the scene to choose whether or not the unique tiles are unique, I think that could be a valuable thing. And the fact that it is building at runtime now, I think technically that could be a thing. The fact that the map is building at runtime, we could tell it whether or not certain tiles are unique or not, so that we can do tile replacement scripts better. I mean this for menus and stuff, for tighter scenes, you know, that you may not want to have the artwork be replaced at the beginning of the scene, because that's how we have to do it right now. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling. Let me know what you think of this update here about adding tilemap editor to GB Studio and what ideas you would have to make GB Studio better in the future. I think it's great that they listen to our feedback, and remember, you can support them on Patreon. So let's talk down below in the comments what you'd like to see. What do you think of my ideas? Did I explain them well enough? And what would you like to see? How excited are you for this one? Do you think it'll be anytime soon? I reckon it could be in the next couple months. They've been quick with the updates recently, or maybe I'm getting old and time's flying by. But let me know. Let me know what you think. And I'll put my patrons up on screen right now. Thank you so much to you guys. You guys are the absolute best. Remember to like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Go and watch some of my other videos. I'm releasing on Friday to the public my video where I built my PC. So go and check out that one if it's Friday already. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.